Hello crew and welcome to a Com Games special edition of Flow Lounge. Now, didn't the Commonwealth Games leave us with a lot to talk about? If you thought cross-country racing was getting dull, well, you obviously didn't watch the racing last Thursday. The coverage was excellent in the end, I thought. But let's talk about the racing. Annie Last in the women's, absolute domination. She broke the Canadian stranglehold on this event for the last 4 Commonwealth Games. I think the Canadians have won it, but Annie Last doing it for England, coming out on top. Very exciting. Now, the men's race was full of all kinds of drama. This was cross-country racing at its best. And although the field only had, I think, 21 riders in it, which isn't a lot, the racing at the very front end between the Kiwi duo of Anton Cooper, Sam Gaze, and the South African Alan Hathley was just amazing to watch. Now, unfortunately, the racing was somewhat, or maybe fortunately, depending on how you want to view it, was dominated by controversy in the end. If anyone missed the closing lap, we highly suggest you go back and find the highlights to see what happened. There was a real battle between the two Kiwi powerhouses of Sam Gaze and Anton Cooper. Now, Sam Gaze, of course, is on absolutely flying form at the moment. He is the only rider to have beaten Nino Schurter in something like 40 years, doing so at Stellenbosch in South Africa in the opening round of the World Cup, which was pretty awesome to see. Great to see a young gun coming up and challenging the old guard. Anton Cooper, of course, too, also in great form and is always an absolute powerhouse. Now, the last lap between these two was a real ding-dong battle. Gaze was clearly in control of the pace, setting the speed for that lead trio. He got a flat coming into the technical zone, which was well timed on his part. When he went to get his wheel sorted, Anton Cooper saw that he had a mechanical and absolutely took off. And this is where things got interesting, because to put it frankly, Sam Gaze had a complete brain explosion. He flipped the bird to Anton Cooper, he was seething, and then he engaged total beast mode and chased down a 28-second lead that Cooper had managed to open up, passing Cooper in the final couple of 100 metres and out sprinting him to take the gold. It was undoubtedly some of the most powerful cross-country riding that you're ever going to see. But unfortunately, that performance has been really overshadowed by his behaviour. Now, Sam Gaze was very quick to call Anton Cooper unsportsmanlike and probably had a whole lot of other colourful language to use as well. As I said, he gave him the finger in the post-race celebrations. You could see he scrunched up the Kiwi flag and threw it at Cooper. It was all pretty nasty and there was obviously a lot of animosity. Clearly those two, even though they're compatriots, there's not a lot of love lost. Now, Gaze was unhappy because of the way that Anton Cooper had attacked when he clearly had a mechanical problem. But this is mountain biking, Gaze. Wake up to yourself, buddy. We're not talking about road racing. We're not talking about a situation where the whole bunch sits up if one of the favourites has a mechanical and agrees not to attack. That simply isn't the etiquette in mountain biking. In mountain biking, it's about getting your bike through the race as much as it is getting your body through the race. And clearly, bad line choices, running the wrong tyres, maybe running too little pressure, who knows? Those equipment choices came into play, or the line choices came into play, and he got a flat. Cooper was well within his rights to go on the attack then, because Cooper didn't make those same mistakes. But you can understand how Gaze feels. In the heat of the moment, he's a young guy, he's incredibly passionate, he's obviously raced his heart out, and he knows in his mind that he is the strongest rider on the day there, as he clearly proved. So to see that all slipping away from him must have been seriously panic-inducing, and so you can kind of forgive him for going off his nana like he did. Either way, is it such a bad thing that Gaze acted like a tool? I don't necessarily think so. Cross-country racing needs some controversy. It needs personalities. So much of this racing is bland when it comes to the people involved. The racing is very exciting on the track, but the personalities tend to be about calorie counting and weight shaving, and it just doesn't have that same kind of personality as a lot of the downhill enduro scene has. So having someone like Gaze, who can be fiery, who has a bit of a Chris Jongaward about him, if you ask me, isn't necessarily such a bad thing in my opinion. What do you think? Leaving aside the drama on the racetrack, the other big talking point from the Com Games, from my perspective, was the fact that we only had 2 Australian riders represented, Dan McConnell and Beck McConnell. What on earth is going on? How can we only have 2 Australian riders at the Com Games in Australia when the race is being held in the backyard of MTBA, literally who are set up right there on the Gold Coast? It seems completely ridiculous to me. Now, I'm sure there's going to be some long-winded, complicated backstory regarding funding, allocation of spaces, I don't even know. I don't get involved in the politics, and every time I've tried to get myself involved in any of the discussions around the politics for the funding when it comes to support for Australian XCO riders, I've found myself incredibly confused and bored by the politics and feeling like it is just an absolute political minefield. So leave that as it may be. As an outsider or as a layperson, you can't help but look at it and think, why on earth do we only have 2 Australian riders? I mean, cross-country racing is not a team sport, obviously, but having a team of riders does make a big difference. Where was Peter Mullins in the women's to help Beck along? Where was Brendan Johnson in the men's, or Cam Ivory? If we'd had multiple riders in both the men's and the women's, surely we had a better chance of, if not winning, maybe getting ourselves onto the podium. Who knows? It seems like a real lost opportunity, not just only to get a medal, but to put some of this talent on display and to give them a chance to get the recognition from the public that they really deserve. We have an incredible depth of cross-country racing talent here in Australia, and for some reason it doesn't get supported, and I don't know why the hell that is. Anyhow, we'll leave that by the by. I'm probably going to get all kinds of emails, and if you've got any thoughts on the matter, please stick them in the comments below and tell me that I'm a fool, or tell me if you think I'm right. Anyhow, Com Games was amazing. It certainly reignited my passion for cross-country racing. I'm really looking forward to the rest of the World Cup season, which we'll be watching live on Red Bull TV, and I suggest you do too. Thank you very much. See you next week.